because I liked being a fighter. I followed my brother Conrad to a class one night and found that this was more than something I was good at. This was who I was. The martial art I studied was a version of Japanese jiu-jitsu called Yawara-ru. It was a full system-style martial art with throws, grappling on the ground, submissions, and striking with fists, feet, knees, and elbows. If that sounds familiar, it should. Years before the advent of the UFC or pankratse in Japan, here was a proto-mixed martial art in the UK. I remember the excitement of my first day of training. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I copied everybody else. When everyone stood in a line with their left fist and left foot forward, so did I. By the time anyone explained to me that, being left-handed, I was supposed to lead with my right, it was too late. I was now and forever a converted southpaw. That means I jabbed with my power hand, making it a potent weapon, while my crosses were delivered from my weaker hand. It is a trade-off American boxers like Joe Louis and Michael Bisping had made on purpose. I did it by accident. Yawara-ru, as the schools which followed its curriculum called it, was developed by a visionary martial artist and sports scientist named Paul Davies. Coming from a military background, my dad understood the life lessons I could gain from training. He was incredibly supportive of my new obsession. If I needed a new gi, white uniform, or gloves, I got them. He drove me all over the country as I entered not only jiu-jitsu, but full-contact karate and kickboxing tournaments. My dad was my driver, advocate, and cheerleader. He also enjoyed giving me grief on the occasions I didn't win. By the middle of high school, I'd usually enter and win the under-15 category, then win the under-18 and, if they'd let me, usually reach the final, if not win the adult competition. Paul Davies took notice. When the local Yawara-ru club in Clitheroe shut down, Davies spoke to my dad about me training in Nottingham. Twice a week my dad would do the 4-hour round trip so I could continue training. It was a funny excuse for not doing homework. I couldn't do it, I'd tell my teachers, honestly enough. I went to Nottingham again last night and didn't get home till 1 a.m. Michael, they'd say, there's no way anyone is driving you to Nottingham, a 4-hour round trip, twice a week to do martial arts. My dad is. My favourite type of competition by far was knockdown sport budo. Just as he'd developed his own fighting system with Yawara-ru, Paul Davies also created his own expression of combat sports with KSBO. If you think of modern MMA and subtract wrestling takedowns and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ, guard work, and add a 5-second countout, that's essentially what a KSBO fight looked like. There were over 30 UK clubs affiliated with KSBO, including several like London Shoot Fighters, which would, in time, become full-blown MMA gyms and produce UFC fighters of their own, and many more in Sweden, France, and elsewhere in Europe. 4 times a year, these clubs would send their best fighters to compete against each other in KSBO tournaments. I won titles in 1995, 1996, 1997, and 1998. Davies would telephone me incessantly, holding me hostage on the handset plugged in near the bottom of the stairs as he waxed lyrical about how KSBO would eventually become this massive mainstream sport. When I was 16, Davies presented me with the chance to travel to New Zealand to compete in the Jiu-Jitsu World Championships. I'd be fighting grown men with years of experience at this level. My family and friends helped me get just about enough money to go. Blackburn Rugby Union Football Club, where I played as a flanker, went above and beyond and threw a fundraising dinner for me. What an adventure for a 16-year-old! Amazing! I couldn't wait. I travelled with an older fighter, a 6'5" monster called Richard, who was competing for the heavyweight title in New Zealand and then remaining in the country indefinitely. He was twice my age and supposedly